You are listening to the Beaverton, North America's trusted source of news.
This week on the Beaverton, rent prices fall in most major Canadian cities. Struggling landlords are encouraged to try cutting back on fancy expenses like avocado toast, or, getting a real job. According to a poll, most Canadians now see the U.S. as a threat. Experts unsure if this is because of the tariffs, border policies, or the fact that the President of the United States keeps threatening us. Probably the last one. And Pierre Poilievre is prepping for his by-election campaign in rural Alberta. According to insiders, he feels he knows all about the local community after binge-watching CBC's Heartland. That's right, it's time to make fun of the news once again on the Beaverton Weekly Report. Welcome to the show, everyone. So glad you are tuning in. I'm your host, Luke Gordon-Field. Back. Thank you so much, Dean McIntyre, for filling in last week. I had a wonderful time up at the cottage, and I'm only 90% covered in bug bites. Thrilled to be here with you all. Joining me this week are two of our regular panelists, neither of whom is on the mysteriously disappeared Epstein list, we swear, Clare Blackwood and Nile Séguin. Welcome, both of you.
I was wondering how you were going to introduce us, and I was like, he wouldn't go that far, would he?
I said you weren't.
I actually requested it.
Oh,
I was like, I need this
dang.
clarified. So in my intro.
People were worried in my life.
I don't see what's offensive. I said you weren't, and there's no way to prove you were now, so it's fine. And we definitely won't keep saying it until the Google SEO engine kicks in. So the first thing that happens after you search Niles again is Epstein list.
That's great. As long as we don't need to clarify that you... Okay, anyways, moving on.
Yeah. Moving right along. We begin with just the truly sexiest story we could find. The government's budget.
Wow.
Try not to get too horny, everyone listening
Probably
at home.
need to
or on your
pause.
bike.
Pause this and go take a quick cold shower if you're anything like us.
I thought you were just straight up saying pause this so they could go jerk off, but that works too. Cold shower.
You can do both.
Oh, it's going to be a weird one. I can already find.
Do both.
You can.
It's a little more challenging in a cold shower, but
Look, if a
like
hitman can kill Jeffrey Epstein in a minute and 2 seconds, according to the video, you can do anything in a cold shower. In a minute
Oh,
and 2
it's kind of
seconds.
inspiring. Oh, no, you can do anything, period.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
just you can do anything in a cold shower.
It's the weirdest inspirational.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Like that Jeffrey Epstein
guy
hitman did.
killed Jeffrey Epstein and I bet you before he was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah. All right.
did
We're getting too far out of ourselves. Let's bring it back to serious fiscal policy. Mark Carney has unveiled an ambitious plan to cut government spending with the goal of cutting programming spending by next year by 7.5% and by 2029 by 15%. I think that's each year. I don't think he means cumulatively by 15%. I mean, I think they're trying to go down each year 7.5 and then 10 and then 15.
Yeah.
So it'd be a cumulative what is that? That's well over 30%, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's my understanding. So this is a very serious subject. Offhand, are there any things that the government does, any ministries or government programs you guys would be okay seeing cut as part of this Carney bloodbath?
Okay, look, I know I'm being a really basic bitch. I'm being a very basic pinko, but I just, this whole thing about cutting when there's just a group of people that you could just tax.
I know.
This is like the equivalent of oh, you know what? I'm gonna get my 10,000 steps in, but I still will only eat pizza. It's you know what? If you just cut 1 or 2 slices, do a nice slow burn, and then keep going with the 10,000 steps, you can.
They really are trying to do
so upsetting.
everything they can to not tax the rich.
So frustrating.
I don't know. I just read there's a young hotshot economist named Milton Friedman, and he's got some really good ideas. And I think if we just give him 50 years to pan out, they'll really work out.
Give it time.
yeah.
Give it time. It's. Can you hear the trickle? Can you hear the trickle? It's
I
coming.
mean, I'm feeling a little splatter.
It's a mist. Oh my god.
Yeah,
So upsetting.
the one program and I think these still exist, and I'm the only thing I was racking my brain thinking of all right, what would I actually be okay with cutting? And I came up with exactly 2 things. One is they still do anti-smoking adverts, and I just think that battle's been fought and won. I'm not suggesting everyone should go out and buy back smokes, but I'm just saying I think you've won the battle, and you're now the only people still smoking. No matter how many adverts you do, they're gonna keep doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get them.
Are we sure?
There's no one who's gonna see a photo of a bad lug on a pack of smokes at this point and say, you know what, I was wrong.
Here's a terrifying proposal. Why don't we split the difference? We cut half of the anti-smoking advertising in certain regions of the country, and then we watch the smoking rates in that country compared to the control.
It's a full control experiment.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would
I don't
have to
know.
be a 20-year gap where you forget about the advertisements and like kids are born without advertisement. This is a long experiment.
Yes.
I'm not against it though.
This is like when they separate twins at birth and then they check in every 10, 20,
yes,
30 years.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, you do have to.
I was joking, you guys.
You do have to. No, we're going to seriously talk about this. You do have to like find a way as a control group to exclude all French Canadians because they will skew your data so hard.
Or theater kids.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Venn diagram crosses over quite a bit on those two. But anyways, so that's the other one. That, and they still let, when ambassadors and dignitaries travel abroad, Canadian dignitaries and ambassadors, they still like all get limos. I think at this point we can Uber pool it.
Oh, for sure.
That'll save a few bucks.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because like at this point, every time I hear about Mark Carney's economic policies, like I just feel like the spend less, invest more to me is just becoming this thing that like the equivalent of like something that you chant in the mirror 3 times and like Mark Carney shows up in your bathroom in a sleepover. Like it never had any meaning.
Our policy is daily affirmations. Is that what we're doing?
It was like Bloody Mary.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Or Beetlejuice, famously.
Yeah, Beetlejuice.
I thought you were doing like daily affirmations.
No.
Got it.
That's maybe what he does. Spend less, invest more. You could do it,
banker
Mark.
enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, I'm going to cut the budget.
I'm going to somehow spend less money even though
everything
progressively becomes more expensive year after year after year.
Yes.
2 things. One, I don't know how much of this is federal. I know that like in the whole defund the police thing, I found one section that everyone can agree on. And obviously police isn't federal, but like anything that involves horses. No more horses.
Yeah.
No more horses. No government organization. None.
I mean, that's
any horses.
That saves you on 2 levels. It saves you on the horses, and it saves you on the guy you got to send around to clean up the horsey poop.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you
Which,
get
by
double
the way,
benefit.
the cops never fucking do that.
No, of
Just
course
like
not.
little bundles of not even little, big bundles of horse shit all over my neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
Who am I
you live
gonna
near the
call?
X. Yeah.
Cops?
You get a lot of horses.
My instinct was to say Beetlejuice, and I'm like, why? No.
Is there an internal affair specifically for horses?
It's one guy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And the other thing is, and you guys can. I speak in total ignorance, as you can tell because my mouth
Your
is moving.
catchphrase.
What is the difference between not spending, and investing? I feel money is still going out.
Well, no, that is actually a great point. So the whole thing, and that's what we wanted to get into.
I meant it.
The defense that Carney and those are making is they are not cutting programming. They are going to reduce, most of this is going, well, I shouldn't say they're not cutting programming. Their goal is to not cut programming. The goal is to accomplish this cut primarily through attrition in the civil service. Civil service, the number of public servants in this country skyrocketed under Trudeau. Now, the argument that the Trudeau government would make is, well, yeah, it had to because population in Canada skyrocketed. People, for every so many people, you need civil servants to help them assess their needs. And also, Harper had cut the civil service so badly it needed to be brought back up. So Carney's thing is, I'm not going to fire a ton of people. I'm not going to go around laying everyone off. But we're going to offer, but as people retire out, we're not going to replace them. As people leave to go to the private sector, we're not going to replace them. And for sure, there will be some, hey, if you don't want to get fired, maybe take this exit packages offered around. And, you know, good luck, in the rest of your career. It's, I think, an incredibly flawed plan in that there aren't thousands upon thousands of 64-year-old civil servants getting ready to retire. And if there are, those are guys who are senior enough that you and women that you need to replace them. So it's not just like, oh, it's a guy who doesn't really do much in like a junior department. It's someone who's clearly been doing this for a long time and is probably pretty good at their job. So the idea that they can just leave and the collective responsibilities will just be dispersed among the team, and that will succeed without reducing services and reducing the quality of services is, I think, very wishful thinking.
Also, isn't there also a very real possibility that, like, if I'm one of these senior people and they're like, here's a golden package, a handshake. Golden Package is a porn movie I watched. Here's a golden handshake. I take it, and then I come back as a super expensive consultant, right?
Well, that's...
I'm doing my same job, only it's costing you way more. I feel like that's in the water. That's
that is the classic of, especially under Harper, that's exactly what happened, right? Where it's like, I've cut public spending and the civil service by so much, and McKinsey, who has probably hired a ton of civil servants, as you just said, is now doing half the federal government's job very poorly, but for more money.
Yeah, didn't they say, wasn't the number something like 26 billion that they're trying to cut? Mm-hmm. And I'm
I believe so.
There's so much, like, the idea that that's not going to come from personnel is ludicrous to me.
I have a pitch. I just came up with a solution.
Amazing.
Okay, so we have a lottery. We nationalize one billionaire. Just
Right.
one billionaire. Just we pick one and we just nationalize all of their shit.
Oh, well, we just take all their stuff.
We
Okay.
take-
we rob
Sorry, I
one
was like-
billionaire.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
said
okay,
nationalize,
okay.
but we're just robbing one.
Got it.
But we'll tell. We'll
We go
say it's
communism on
nationalizing.
one billionaire.
Yeah. And then we can call back to Andrew's Canada Day idea, and that billionaire becomes the Canada Day person that we celebrate.
Oh.
Because they're poor now.
That's sweet.
Oh,
I like
Yeah,
that.
but you took one for the
Nice.
team, and
Yeah.
that
That's
fixes
nice.
like how many billionaires do we do that
Yeah.
to before we're good?
Yeah, it's like you're allowed to be a billionaire. As somebody who doesn't think billionaires should exist, you're allowed to be a billionaire, but you
Yeah.
have to put your name in the lottery.
It's just a lottery, and then
Yeah. I mean, this is a
No
much more
one-
pleasant Hunger Games, and I'm up for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd also be fine with an actual Hunger Games of
Yeah,
billionaires.
Also-
and they can also fight in the arena.
Oh, I was thinking it would be like a win, like because now this billionaire is dirt poor, but it's one of those things where like they never pay for a meal again. You know, they can roam around the country.
It's a Hawaiian
So
dine for billionaires.
That's
Yeah,
the Hunger
yeah.
Games as well.
Oh, is that how that works?
It's like if you win the Hunger Games, you're essentially
You
like
get free meals?
You and
That
your
feels
family
low.
is
Yeah,
set.
it's
You
set
and
for
your
life.
family is set for life.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I
Yeah.
mean, but not that. Like, we're not giving them money. They can just roam around and like stay at a hotel if they want. They can stay there.
Just aimless.
We're not even gonna
billionaires.
we're not gonna even
They're
leave them
already
like a single.
aimless, by the
The
way.
Sims are just creating
They are
Sims.
already shiftless and aimless.
I like that you're taking them like the jerk with Steve Martin style. You're taking them down to like their last dollar. You're not like we'll leave them a few $100,000
this
so they
is
can
full.
buy food.
This is 100%.
It is down
They
to
are full.
zero.
They have zero possessions going forward.
Right. We're taking the suits,
We have
we're taking-
nationalized them.
Yeah.
They are.
They get a
they're-
T-shirt and some shorts.
Yeah. They're the Canada Day.
Yeah.
One day you're a billionaire. One day you're walking through the streets of
That's
Toronto
life,
in your underwear,
baby.
hoping that someone gives you a free bagel or something.
And then that's how it trickles down.
I
It
love
was
that.
coming.
I
It was
love
coming.
that. I love that.
The trickle down is throwing billionaires from the top of the pile down to the bottom. It's really more of a quick descent than a trickle down, but it does the same thing. Hey,
Sure,
again,
yeah, yeah.
I'm not opposed to any of this.
I solve problems.
It's better than the fact that like the government is actively courting AI, and I'm like, well, that's going to take jobs.
Yeah.
Like when you're saying that you're going to make the government more efficient and things cost less, and public service is going to work really well, and also we're going to be investing a shit ton of money in AI. That's just like standing over my shoulder like a serial killer, just like waiting to pounce. And I'm like, you're going to use it. It's going to take your jobs. Don't at least be honest about it. They're politicians. They're not going to be, but like.
A few years ago, I was like so clear to me that AI was the next pivot to video that was just going to destroy so many digital media companies. Only if pivot to video was also bringing down countries. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, pivot to video took down like Vice News and College Humor, but AI and just like are completely buying into all the bullshit that the AI people are spreading is fully going to destroy multiple countries who are
And the
like, it's the
environment.
future and the environment.
I
That's it.
think, honestly, the whole issue with AI is our shot selection. We're always picking the wrong people to replace. If you replaced like CEOs and elected officials with AI, come on. Huh? Come on.
I see some problems on the elected official part. that feels like a Terminator-esque situation or the
sure.
Matrix, whatever you want to go.
You're talking to post-democratic Nile.
We're actively
Welcome to my side now. Welcome to my side. Let's destroy it together.
It's just like, it's through osmosis. It's in the air. It's airborne.
Yeah. But the AI CEO will use proportional representation, so it all evens out.
Yeah, who's programming those politicians, like those AI
Oh,
politicians?
Skynet, baby.
Oh, so we're just going full.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
this is AGI.
Yeah, he's leading
it's
it.
self-learning. I love it.
Right.
Yeah. There was something so interesting about watching, again, every country is different, and Canada is, if not fundamentally a center-left country, then it's very much a centrist country, as opposed to our closest contemporaries, the UK and the US, which are clearly center-right, if not right countries. But watching Carney just go down the path of austerity that Starmer adopted when he got into power with a huge majority, whatever it was, a year and a half ago now, and watching Carney just be like, I will follow that plan almost to the letter, and knowing that in the UK right now, Starmer is projected to lose 285 seats if there was an election today to a further right-wing party than even the UK Conservatives. And just being like, I will emulate that to a T is infuriating to watch. Now, again, I know Carney right now, the poll numbers look good, and as long as Pierre Poilievre is Conservative Party leader, he probably will never have any kind of like revolt wave against him. But the second you, as the party of, we're the party of government does things and helps people, and we're not saying like socialism or whatever, but we're saying we can make your lives a little bit better. The second you actively choose to start making people's lives worse, why wouldn't they just go with the people who are like, well, burn it all down then? Why half burn it down? Burn the thing, burn all of the government to the ground instead of just being like, well, sure, healthcare and roads and renewing your passport and everything else under the sun that the federal government does sucks now. But what if we just kept doing it a little bit worse, and then the government and then the conservatives come along and be like, what if you got all your money and the government just really sucked? And it's like, well, the government sucks anyways. Who gives a shit?
And then I sneak in there and I go, what if we nationalize one billionaire? See, I just need the water to get just hot enough, and then I sneak it in there. Boom, momentum. They don't even know what hit them.
Well, I mean, that is you keep going for jokes and I keep being like, good political point now. But like, that is a very valid political theory among people on the left, which is that you need a certain amount of
you got to hit rock
conservative power, rock bottom, right? It's essentially
it's like
the alcoholism. Yeah. You need the conservatives to be in power and make things bad enough for people to turn away from the center-left options and go with the actual left options. I mean, which maybe we're seeing in certain places like New York City, potentially about to elect a socialist as mayor, things like that. I mean, we don't know. He's won the primary. We don't know what's going to happen in the general. There's so many people are going to try and rat fuck that guy.
Oh my God, the Democrats are so afraid of this man.
Yeah, they're terrified of a smiling, nice man who everyone likes taking photos with.
Yeah.
Because he only got 97th percentile on his SATs. That's the scandal this week.
Oh my God, yeah.
Anyways, we don't need to go into U.S. municipal politics.
But it is interesting that he's pulling from Starmer. He's also pulling from. He's very much pulling from Poilievre. I mean, we know that he's adopted some of conservative policies, but if I were Poilievre, I'd be so mad because he's talking about how he's making all of his ministers say, "Here are my priorities,"
oh my God.
and in order to pay for those priorities, he's like, you got to prove that you can do it from within your already existing funds. Oh, no. So it's that kind of pay-as-you-go thing that Pierre Poilievre, basically championed, being like, dollar in, dollar out, like you have to, if you're going to spend $1, you have to tell me where it comes from. That kind of thing. And yeah, he's really borrowing from unfortunate things, especially Starmer's now, he backtracked, but his latest thing was, let's make it harder for people to get Medicare or healthcare and social services and stuff like that.
Yeah, the last thing I saw was cutting the winter fuel allowance, which is very important for especially senior citizens in the UK. Things
or
like
disability.
That.
He was going after disability.
Anybody else the only thing stopping me from being a Chinese asset is they haven't asked. Anybody else? It started with a couple of TikTok videos, and then I just was autopiloting. Yeah. I was doing it myself.
People are listening to us being radicalized in real time.
I feel like capitalism radicalizes you.
Especially today, the Dalai Lama came out and was like, I want my offshore corporation to choose my reincarnated soul. And it's like, fuck, was China right about this guy too? Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Christ.
No, come on. I love Tibet and everything, but the Dalai Lama has a fucking golden throne.
Well,
it wasn't like a Shangri-La when he was sitting on it.
No.
God damn it.
But no, I'm right here with you. I'm seeing more and more videos of content creators being like, here's how to build a guillotine. And I'm like, yes, yes.
China, what's up? Yeah, I got a podcast. Yes, I got a couple podcasts. You wanna sponsor me? I'm here. You know where I am. Really. Yeah.
I love your good news broadcast brought to you by the People's Republic
of China. I'm going to start doing it without their consent. Yeah. They can send a cease and desist.
Yeah, that's what they'll do.
Sponsored by Xi Jinping.
They'll go through legal channels to get you. That's what communist dictatorships are famous for doing. Well, the one area where will not be having austerity anytime soon is in defense, because as we're talking cut. Carney has also agreed to go from, for years the demand was 2% of GDP, and Carney has agreed to that, and now it's 5% of GDP by 2035, so 10 years. And part of me thinks, I see what Carney's doing here, because with the austerity spending, he can drive the economy into a recession. And 5% of a really shit economy is just the same thing as 2% of a good economy. Brilliant. Tricked you, NATO. Tricked you.
all of his promises start to come as percentage of GDP.
Yeah. Well, if the pie is only is 20% or 50% smaller, then all of a sudden that 2%, 5% number doesn't really matter as much because we're dealing with a much smaller pie. So you can meet without raising defense spending a nickel, you can meet your defense spending just by shrinking your GDP dramatically.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're just going to hand him a good old Viola Davis and be like, here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
This is our
We're all doing terribly, but this is all we owe you now.
Oh my God. Does anyone else have I had a moment, I can't remember when, in the last few days, I was like, wait, is he not smart? Like, you know, like he came in and he just moved and spoke like a smart man, and now I'm like watching and I'm like, oh, and then I keep giving him the benefit of the doubt, but now it's like stacking up and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
No, I just think he's a conservative.
Yeah. To me, it's not an intelligence question. I mean, I never doubted Harper's intelligence, for example. Who, by the way,
6
Harper
of
never
1.
cut defense or never cut spending this much. This is like Harper never even came close to this.
Well, you got to think of the fighter jets, man. It's the fighter jets. Also, I have to say this. This is driving me crazy. I said Viola Davis and it's Desmond. I just had to make that correction because it was going to haunt me.
No, that is important.
Yeah.
That is very
Jesus
important.
Christ.
The other thing that was so unique about that situation is like for years NATO has been pushing 2% of GDP, 2% of GDP. They finally get everyone on board and immediately they up their demands to 5%. And it's like, oh, does the head of the organization that only focuses on defense spending want you to spend more on defense? That's crazy. Next, you'll be telling me the head of a renewable resources organization wants you to spend more on solar panels. Nuts. Like, of course they're always going to want, they're a defense organization. There is no amount that will ever be enough for them. And like, I'm not saying NATO's a bad thing or trying to get on this whole like, the argument over Russia and Ukraine. I'm not trying to like make that, tanky argument. But my point is just like, there is no amount that will be like, and we're good. It does not exist. You can never get there.
And now we have, we have Trump as kind of just like we gotta, because this guy, like he's just this constant threat. And when we've told him to his face, Carney told him to his face at the G7, basically being like, you, Mr. President, you've really revitalized the international, what was it like?
The defense.
Oh, it was something like that.
Yeah.
Which was obviously, you can interpret that as sucking up, and you can also interpret it as a backhanded compliment.
Oh, yeah.
I think
We're all gearing up in case you invade. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is,
So
of course, as we all
passive-aggressive.
know, is like so much of defense spending goes to U.S. contractors, and so much of our military is integrated with the United States that even though we're arming up in case, the 1812 redux happens, really a lot of that money's just going to go to the U.S. So it's like, it doesn't actually, but, I get it. I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to disentangle yourself from NATO and NORAD and all that stuff now. That would be a crazy thing to do.
Couldn't he just like ask them to send him an email saying what their priorities are? And like,
you have to find the money from
within. You have to find the money from within. Like, how come they get exempted?
Yeah.
Exempted from this plan.
Yeah, Trump definitely knows his budget. So.
About the spending? Because I was going to say the U.S. spends a heck of a lot more than 2%. They spend like 8 times more than the next highest military spending, which I believe is Russia, who's obviously in the process of a lengthy war.
Well, what's
yeah. So the one thing you cannot question the U.S. on is commitment to spending trillions of taxpayer dollars on military spending.
While not being able to feed their kids.
Yes. But enough about budgets. Let's talk sports.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know we have joked. The sigh of relief that went through Claire's body there.
We might need a second cold shower break for one of us here at the table. I'm not going to say who.
Well, I know we've joked repeatedly, or I've joked repeatedly on this podcast about, that sometimes sports is a conversation that I care about and not everyone else does. But I do think there are 3 very interesting stories going on in the sports world involving the 3 of the biggest Canadian teams. And a lot of them, kind of reverberate outside the sports world. But I want to kind of do a quick roundup here. So the first thing we want to talk about, which is just fun, it's just great, is the Blue Jays are absolutely soaring. They were struggling throughout the year. All of a sudden, they've won 9 games in a row. By the time people listen to this, we'll know if they won their 10th game in a row. They're up 3 on the Yankees for first in the division after sweeping them in a 4-game series for the first time, I think, ever, or at least at home for the first time ever. Yeah. So, the big question, and I'm going to look directly at Claire as I ask this, is like, is this a hot streak or is this for real?
I mean, I think if this were at the beginning of the season, we didn't have a lot of data to go on, I could maybe say this is just a one-off hot streak. But we're halfway through the season at this point. Yeah. Like, this has been growing for a while. I think what happened is just we sucked so much last year.
Yeah,
so
really
much that they had to change. Like it's the hitting rock bottom kind of thing, where like we had to get it. We have so much going for us this year. We have a decent bullpen now. That was the biggest thing that hit us. Our pitchers are consistent. We're hitting like Popkins bringing in David Popkins as the hitting coach has changed the game. We're actually hitting the ball now.
Also, I can't speak for Luke, but you can make up names because I have no idea these people.
I won't pretend I knew the name of the hitting coach. I knew it used to be Mattingly, but I knew it wasn't anymore.
They got him the hell away from the bats, and we got Popkins, and it's just changed the game. Everybody's contributing. We're not just relying on like one or two guys. I don't think this is a streak at all. I'm not saying that they're going to keep, ideally, knock on wood, but like.
They might lose a game at some point.
We might lose a game at some point,
Yeah.
but if you look at where we were last year versus this year, it's quite remarkable.
Yeah.
I could go on. Extolling
by all means.
Just building on what you said, watching this year, and I will not pretend to be remotely as big a fan as Claire. I'm the definition of a casual. I watch a few games a year, front to end, and I watch many games, like a few innings at a time. So, but this year versus last year, to me, the biggest difference is you have. Like you said, you have guys coming up out of nowhere. Like I'd never heard the words Addison Barger before this year, even though I knew he was in the organization.
Yeah, and Ernie.
And Ernie Clement, who was a free agent signing, right? Or
Ernie was here.
Oh, he was here last year.
Yeah, he was here last year.
I'm thinking of Santander, excuse me, who I know has heard. So it's watching like last night, for example, against Chicago. I watched most of the game, and it was like they called this guy up from the minors, and he goes 3 for 4 with a home run and a 2-run single or 2 RBI single. And it's like, that's the kind of like good vibes that I haven't felt with any team since like the 2015 Jays, when like they were middling in record, but were like really good in run differential. And everyone's like, if this team would just actually like score runs at the right times, they would be the first place team. And then they went out and traded for a bunch of really good guys, including David Price and Troy Tulowitzki, and like went on this insane run and made the playoffs and should have gone further than they did. But that was like, the vibes were so high, and to bring it slightly outside of sports and like the details.
I think we're pretty far out.
Sorry. I mean, like the details of like the Jays day to day is like, I think there's a thing, and I pose this to you guys, like, I don't think there's a team, and even though Toronto is, the Leafs are obviously the biggest franchise in Toronto, I don't think there's a team where when they're good, the vibes get as high as the Jays.
I agree.
I think the Jays good,
really?
And obviously it fits with summer too. Like, because it's summer, we're out in patios, life is good already,
Right. So
as opposed to it's the middle of February.
But if the Leafs were as good as the Jays are now,
The Leafs
think the vibes
finished first in their division this year. Did you notice a huge surge in vibes?
I get out of bed every day feeling like a Disney princess.
but I feel
now.
it's
Like,
different,
the birds
though.
are chirping, the sun is shining.
Because it's the fans. Like the Leafs fans are always like, yeah, but we're still gonna like. There's this constant.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, fair. Okay, yeah, you're right. I can't argue with that point.
I think
But
Jays
that's
fans have an optimism that Leafs fans do not, even though obviously Jays fans have seen a huge share of disappointments and failures over the years, not as consistently in recent years as the Leafs, because the Jays haven't, since that era of 2015 and 2016 ended, the Jays haven't been consistent contenders who underperformed the way the Leafs have. They've just mostly been bad with a few pops here and there, whereas the Leafs have just been really good in the regular season and shit in the playoffs. So every year you're like, I don't want to get my hopes up in the regular season because I've seen how these fuckers play in the playoffs and they're going to let me down.
And now, like this year, the hope is, I went into the season being like, maybe we'll make the wild card, maybe. And it's now, right now, we're on track to win the division.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even getting a wild card. We're just getting into the playoffs. And again, knock on wood, things could change. But, George Springer's having his best year since, 2017. This man is 35.
I did want to ask this, because I don't know from baseball, but I do know that when you hit your groove is important. You want to hit your groove late in the season. Is this late enough in the season?
Yeah, a lot of them do. Like Guerrero did last year. Apparently Santander, if he weren't injured, he generally starts a bit later. But Springer's been pretty good this whole season, actually.
Yeah, he's on an incredible heater right now.
Yeah.
But his average is better than Guerrero's.
He has the best average in the
the last
Should
couple
we be
years.
translating any of this for the listeners? Because I have
Batting
no
average.
idea what you're
Batting
going to
How
average.
often you get a hit.
Yeah.
Percentage-wise.
He is currently at the top of the team, minus Joey Loperfido, because he's played 2 games and got a home run in 1.
If you have 2 good games, your batting average is pretty great.
Yeah, and so this guy is 35. He's the oldest player, the oldest hitter on the team. And he had such a bad year last year that people were like, well, he's done. Yeah. He is out. And then he hit 2 home runs on Canada Day. 1 was a grand slam. This man is just on fire. They're just so fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like finally Atkins can walk around Toronto without looking for snipers.
Well, that's what was going to be my question to you. The current president and GM of the team, for those who don't know, came in, replaced Alex Anthopoulos, who had built that 2015 team that was so good but didn't end up winning it. And he's gone on and won a World Series with the Braves, Alex Anthopoulos says. They replaced them. They kept it going for that first year, 2016, for the most part, but that team didn't quite have the same success that the 2015 team did, even though they also made the ALCS. Then, since then, it's been a kind of like long, gradual decline until this year, basically, with that team. So, a lot of fans, I think, at the start of this year were like, this is their last year, we got to fire them. How do you feel
fire
about
Atkins,
them now?
fire Schneider, fire the whole, back of house, everything.
Yeah, fire Shapiro, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still question some of John Schneider's pitching change choices. He likes to keep guys in too long, and he likes to take guys out right in the middle of them being hot. I don't get it, but I think he's proving people wrong right now. I don't really care. The man makes his money, but I think he's doing a good job. And the Jays are just so freaking fun to watch right now, and they know it, and we know it, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. I do miss the one disappointment. The one disappointment of the season is when we won last year. I think the year before that too. The outfielders' tradition was they all ran into a circle and hugged each other and jumped around in a circle, and it was adorable. And now they've stopped doing
they do kind of like a phony high five wave
like
thing.
A hand high fivey wave thing, and I'm like, I miss the jump hugs.
Maybe the jump hugs was what's holding them back. That's what my parents used to say
before they divorced.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I know it's a there's a bigger conversation we had about the Jays, but this in the sense of how they're winning these games and all that. We're not going to go too far into the details, but the last thing I will say is that, I just want to repeat that, there's something very fun that happens in this city, and I think around the country, because obviously the Jays are the only big league team in Canada, the only, now, RIP Expos, that there's just a kind of, and there was a similar thing in the Raptors in 2019 when the Raptors went on their run, obviously. But there's just kind of a rally around it, and everyone's having fun. And baseball is also a sport that, even though it's insanely complicated with a million rules, you can also watch it casually the way you can't watch basketball, you can't watch hockey, in the sense that you can turn it on for a few hours or an hour, watch a little bit. You can watch it while you're having drinks with friends and not pay rapt attention. But anytime someone hits a home run, be like, oh, cool, awesome.
I see what you mean.
I'm not talking about it, don't get me wrong. I know for people who are very hardcore fans like you, that is not how you watch Blue Jays games, obviously.
No, I mean, it's not. But I was thinking, I was going to be like, I don't think so, because I think a lot of people find baseball is extremely boring.
Yes, but that's part of it's an appeal.
Oh, I see.
It's a second, but I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
You know how Netflix is looking for things
Sneak
that people can watch?
Slogan.
No, but
baseball.
you know how Netflix is always looking for things that people can watch while they're on their phones?
Right.
That's baseball.
Yeah.
You can watch it while you're folding laundry. You can watch it while you're having beers with friends. You can watch it while you're out to eat. It's a sport that doesn't require, for some, again, I know
Listen to Don Draper coming up with a new baseball campaign.
It's true. Everything, hockey and basketball are so high energy in the,
you turn away from basketball for 2 minutes, the score could be gone from 10 points for one team to 10 points for the other team. Baseball, you can kind of, and also you can kind of go by sound. When you don't hear a lot, there's probably not a lot going on. When you hear the crack of the bat and the crowd roaring, I should probably turn and look right now. Yep. So I do think Nile is looking at me like I'm insane. But I do think that's a real appeal.
The crack of the bat.
Yeah, if only someone had written some kind of poem about these things. But yeah. Anyways, I want to turn slightly, because we can't stay on one story for too long in the sports world. This is a less fun story, but the Masai Ujiri, who was fired by the Raptors, who was the team president and who built the team that won the chip in 2019, and and had done. It's weird to say had done so much more than that, in the sense that the Raptors were a joke of a franchise. They were obviously the junior varsity team in their own company, Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, named after the Maple Leafs. Obviously, they were second place in kind of everything within their own company. And they just, Masai built this team. They were in the league, in the NBA. They were probably viewed as on par with the Charlotte Hornets and the Memphis Grizzlies, as just B and C tier franchises.
Yeah, they're also Reds.
Nowhere near the A tier in terms of success, or in terms of where players want to play, or in terms of marketability. They were constantly described as a small market franchise by American reporters, even though we're the third biggest city in the United States and Canada, not counting Mexico City. So there was so much that Masai turned around. And he's been fired by primarily Edward Rogers, who people might recall had a struggle within his own family to take control of the Rogers company that he succeeded in winning. At one point, they were like suing each other, and they were each naming different boards of the directors to appoint a new CEO.
Wasn't that what wasn't that what
Succession?
Succession was based off of? Wasn't Succession?
Succession was based off the Murdochs primarily.
Oh God, right. Yes.
And the
Right.
Rupert Murdoch choosing which son to give the
Right,
control
yeah.
of the company
I
to.
can't wait for the Canadian Succession.
Oh man, that'd be so
Based on the
good.
Rogers.
The
Yeah.
budget will be small. There are books about it already if you want to read it. But anyway, so he won that struggle, and since then Rogers has bought a majority stake in Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. And one of the things that came out when he was in that struggle was that the last time Masai's contract was up, he fought tooth and nail against re-signing him, even though, again, this was a guy who had just won a championship for Toronto. And he just couldn't justify the cost. He was like, he didn't like, but I think the primary thing is he didn't like that Masai was seen as the face of the Raptors, and he wants, on a corporate level, and obviously the players are the face of the Raptors on a basketball level, and he wanted Rogers and himself to be the face of the Raptors on a corporate level and not Masai. And he didn't like that this guy had total control of the team, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, he got his way. Masai is gone. I do want to acknowledge Masai wasn't perfect. He in recent years, you can make the argument he took his foot off. He maybe wasn't paying as much attention, took his foot off the gas. Some of the trades, the Pascal trade, up for a lot of criticism, especially given what Pascal has done for Indiana. How do you guys feel about this? Is this a case of a GM, had been there for a long time and it was time to move on? Or is this just Rogers signaling that they're going to absolutely run this franchise back into the ground where Masai picked it up?
I think yes is the answer to that, because it's just like it was so hard to tell, and the problem was that he, like you mentioned, with all of the stuff that he'd done, he made himself a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
So it is to the point now where, like, when I found out, I was like, it wasn't, like
You weren't immediately outraged.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if he was, I don't know what happened. It just felt like, and of course you tell yourself stories, maybe this is inaccurate, but it felt like you're looking at it and you're just rooting for the guy. You're just like, no. In Masai we trust used to be like a common thing that
every time he took a draft pick
said,
from way off the board, we were like, well, that seems insane, but
it's Masai.
Sure,
He'll
Masai we
figure
trust.
good,
Let's take this Brazilian guy who's 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Not all the words. But and then so you were just like, maybe it's like, and then after a while you're like, oh no, this is and it wasn't. That was the other thing that was like, it'd be different if we just were like in the shit, just like let's tank and get some and just do the rebuild. But it looked like I don't know what he's trying to do or what he was trying to do, and I feel like that makes you vulnerable when it's not clear what you're doing. Because this team we have now is not going to the finals. That's never happening. It's like I think the 12th largest payroll in the league. It's what you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're in what I think a lot of basketball players call the mushy middle. You're too good to get a top lottery pick. You're too bad to do anything beyond maybe first round, maybe play in, not wild card. Yeah. And maybe we're wrong about that. We haven't seen what Brandon Ingram looks like as a Raptor, really, because he was hurt the whole time. So maybe Masai's right and we're very wrong. But I agree with you that they don't seem set up for, like, a lot of, there was like a clip of the Bill Simmons show the other day where he was like, they were basically like, they picked the Raptors as like the team in the worst situation right now because they have too many high-priced contracts.
Or one of the teams in the worst
for a team that's not going anywhere.
But like the American coverage is so upsetting. It is so upsetting.
We're back to being a small market team now. I forgot.
This was like literally, like when we were talking about Pascal, this was literally how it was. If I remember correctly, it was like when we had him, and I think he made an all-star game. I was like, what? No, he's not an all-star. Oh, my God, he's so overpaid. That's ridiculous. And then we traded him, and they were like, oh, my God, they lost Pascal Siakam for nothing. And then there was, and then we had like we had the team that we had. And then the media was saying like, oh, I think they held on to Pascal and Fred VanVleet for too long. And then when Pascal was in the finals, like, bet you Toronto could use, and I was like, oh my God, guys, you have to stop. Like, I don't even know if they know they're doing it. But every decision is the wrong decision. That
sounds like Toronto sports fans, to be honest.
Oh my God. No,
these are Americans talking about Toronto.
Oh, I see.
It is because they never give the Raptors. The one thing that was nice about this year, even though obviously the Raptors didn't do much, was with the playoffs, was Americans 6 years later realizing that the 2019 team was actually very good. And it wasn't just Kawhi and the Raptorettes. all of a sudden, the 2019 Raptors, people were like, oh my God, they had Pascal and OG and Fred and Kawhi. And we were like, we know. We've been saying this for 6
I feel like
years.
basketball players knew.
Yeah,
basketball players
knew.
knew. But the media didn't. Anyway, so it sucks. And now I'm like, are we going back? I can't go back, guys.
I know.
I've been a fan
the
since
late
98.
odds.
It was so dark.
Showing the baseball side. Come over.
You can watch it while you do other stuff. Have you heard?
Yeah, Ernie Clement.
Can I watch it while I watch basketball?
Yeah, that's a 2-screen system, baby. Basketball on your phone, or do picture-in-picture, whatever you want to do. I don't know what your home entertainment system is.
If we get a WNBA franchise, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Well, that's coming.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the MLSE under Rogers wouldn't do it.
Toronto Tempo.
So Larry Tenenbaum, who used to have a significant shake in MLSE,
Right, yeah.
he sold his shake and bought or started the Toronto Tempo. So I'm that's going to be huge. I'm excited for that.
There was a little, that finals was a bit messy last year, but aside from that, if in case you don't know, it really looked like the fix was in for New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the commissioner showed up at the finals game, the deciding finals game in New York, wearing a dress that was just New York decals, just like very prominent.
I mean, would it be a basketball league that's breaking out into success if the commissioner wasn't rigging games? R.I.P. David Stern. I don't think he's dead, but R.I.P. David Stern. For all the great rigging you did throughout the 80s and 90s. Tim Donaghy says
easier
hello.
for me to operate if people think I'm dead.
Yeah. Patrick Ewing. Oh, that dented cardboard envelope. What a shock. Patrick Ewing went to the Knicks. Crazy. The Sacramento Kings got 4,000 fouls against the Lakers in their 3-peat. That's crazy. Anyways.
My sport's dirtier than yours, Claire.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's never been any rigging in baseball.
Come on, it's been 100 years.
We don't have a guy
It's
on
been
a
literally
team who
100
was
years.
accused of cheating on his last team.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, George Springer.
The Astros had a guy in the outfield who was like banging a drum to tell them when the pitcher was throwing a curveball or something.
2017, right?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
It was,
Okay, fair,
I guess,
fair.
right before we got Springer, so 2017.
Yeah.
But that's different, though. That's a team cheating. That's not the league cheating.
But there's also a lot of like sports betting cheating. There was a pitcher just the other day who's being investigated for because he pitched too well or he got angry that he struck a guy out or something like that.
They've got to get a team on that because that's happening in the NBA as well. There's a guy that's Malik
Bridges.
Beasley.
Is it Beasley? Sorry.
I think it's Malik Beasley. Either way, he's like, he's like the second guy that's come under investigation. It's like, guys, you gotta, because like.
Yeah, there's a clip of him, and it's like
it's going to happen again.
The spread
and
was
again.
7.5, and now in fairness, he was playing for his own team, not against his own team.
Yeah.
But the spread was 7.5, and a guy hits a free throw with like 1 second or 3 seconds left to make it 8, so they would have not covered the spread. And he, even though his team is down by 8, gets the ball, sprints the full length of the court, and dunks it with like half a second left to get it under the spread. And it's like, oof, man.
There's also like,
I'm nodding that I know what a spread is. I'm like, I understand.
I think
a team has to win by a certain amount to cover.
Yeah.
And if you bet on the other team, they can lose, but as long as they lose by less than the spread,
But
you
what
still
is
win
the
your
spread?
bet.
the spread
So
is
in this case, it was
number of
whatever.
points.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'd say they're going to beat him by
got it.
5 points.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the
Okay,
spread.
got it.
So the other team was supposed to win by more than 7.5, and thanks to this play, they won by
right,
only
okay.
6.
And there was also that apparently the last play of the season where he got a pass and then fumbled it, and then you're like, "Did you fumble that?
Yeah, no, it's
Did
rough.
you fumble that?"
It's rough.
Thinking I'll take it.
This segment has been brought to you by
365,
DraftKings.
You know what?
Sorry.
The fix is this: just you give every player just like some stock in DraftKings or whatever. You give them some gambling money. Just a cut. Just give him a cut. Give him the vig.
Yeah, just give him some chips.
Because it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I know. I mean, yeah. But
Then
to
you
your
nationalize
point,
1 billionaire.
to your point from before of we just can't go back. Like, we truly cannot. Like, where Masai, like, don't get me wrong, we can have losing seasons, we can be in the lottery, that will all happen again. But if management allows the Raptors to go back to where they were in the like Rob Babcock era, and no player wants to play here, and we're a C tier, D tier team in the league, that will be
I think it's
so appalling.
I think it's, and this is never going to happen, but it's annoying because it's like there's got to be some sort of fix for, like, not all cities, not all franchises are created equal, right? Like Florida has no state tax, and then they get double taxed here, so it's going to be way harder for us to attract a free agent.
Yeah,
like you got to factor that in. That's bonkers.
Well, that's a big conversation, and not to pivot too hard, but that's a big conversation in our next story, which is the last sports story I want to bring up, and then we'll move off of sports. Is Mitch Marner has left the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was our second best player by all accounts, although he certainly believed he was our first.
What's that guy?
He signed in Vegas. Speaking of gambling, guys, don't do the sport ball thing. Don't do it. I listen to your sports.
That's fair. You're very polite.
I mean, I enjoy your sports too. I'm the guy who likes all sports, really. But but the reason I bring it up is it is a story about.
What was he, by the way?
Sorry.
Was he a forward? What was he?
He's a right winger, so forward. Yes, he signed for 8 years, I believe, $12 million a season, which was the same amount Toronto offered him. So really no difference in terms of terms and years.
Taxes.
But here's the thing. Vegas has, Nevada has no state taxes. Florida has no state taxes. This is a huge conversation in the National Hockey League. And so there's so many calls on the league's got to figure this out because people are signing in Florida huge discounts. Now, the one argument I will be making against that in the Marner case is how much do you gain in tax savings by playing in Nevada? Because remember, it's only half your money because all the games you play on the road, you get paid, and this is true in the NBA too, you get paid based on where you play. So your games in Toronto, your games in New York, whatever, you're not getting that no state taxes thing. You get paid based on where you play.
Really?
So it's only 41 games a year you're getting the no state taxes. So how much are you saving by that versus how much are you losing in endorsements playing in a state where no one will have heard of you versus playing in Toronto where you could have 8 endorsement deals lined up just by signing with the Leafs as a third winger?
I have to assume they've crunched the numbers. Like if I'm an agent, I've solved for that.
I would imagine.
I have to assume, and again, I might be wrong, but if I'm Marner, Marner's agent, I've crunched the numbers and I'm like, okay, I can get him this much endorsement money here, and then he loses this much on taxes. Or I can get him this much. You know what I'm saying? Like this.
For sure.
The what is it? 6 million he's going to be making.
No,
for the
12
whole
a year.
No, but it's like cut in half.
cut in half.
So
yeah.
6 million tax free. Is probably I don't know. The agent maybe is like that's more than if you got endorsement deals.
Yeah, maybe.
But then on the other side of that, the agent probably doesn't give a fuck about taxes.
No, well, not Marner's taxes. He gives a fuck about his taxes. But I'm sure in order to keep him as a client, he probably has to do that calculation exactly.
Right.
Now, I think in this case, and don't get me wrong, I think you're very right about that for a lot of players. I think in this case, it was very much not I'm going entirely based on money. I think it was going, I don't want to be a Leaf anymore. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, and Leafs fans are already starting to like bash their heads against the wall because he was a guy who there's a lot to this story. I can't give you guys full context because it's literally there's been hour-long YouTube videos put out about all the things that went wrong between Marner and the Leafs in the course of his career and why he was so pissed off towards the end and why Leafs fans hated him so much towards the end. And didn't really want him to re-sign, even if he signed at a reasonable number. Certainly there were some who did, but I think a lot of Leafs fans didn't. The main thing to talk about is there is and this is again kind of reverts beyond sports, or at least beyond this specific player. There is a thing in the NHL that I don't think is true of either of the sports we've already covered, where players really don't want to play in big market cities. They want to play the biggest like LA is a big city in the sense of it's a big tourist town and big shows and stuff, but it's not a big city. It's not New York. It's not LA. It's not Toronto. And one of the other biggest free agents signed in Carolina, where no one will ever recognize him. And Sam Bennett, the other biggest free agent, didn't even go to free agency. He re-signed in Florida, where no one knows him. There is a thing in hockey which brags about how tough their players are. They play with broken bones. They play with their faces cut open. They play with torn ACLs, et cetera, et cetera. Other than you pussy basketball players and you pussy baseball players and you flopping soccer players, hockey players brag about how tough they are. Mm-hmm. And then they seem to be terrified of playing where the lights are brightest, unlike baseball and basketball, where players constantly, especially in basketball, push as hard as they can to get to the Lakers or to get to the Knicks, less so the Knicks, but in recent years when the Knicks have not been terrible, but get to the Lakers, or in baseball, get to the Yankees. That's a huge thing. In hockey, it seems to be the exact opposite. They want to get paid by the multimillionaire superstar athletes, they technically are in the sport, but live in relative anonymity and comfort, and where there's no media scrutinizing them and no fans getting mad at them if they go, 8 games without a point or whatever. And it's such a weird thing in a sport that prides itself on toughness. And I know you two aren't hockey fans, but that's the kind of situation that we're facing.
But are we sure it's that, or is it one of those things?
Player,
because again, I don't know from hockey, but basketball, if you're a basketball star in Los Angeles, that's a good chunk of change. Whereas if you're a hockey star in Los Angeles, does that make a difference in terms of
endorsement deals?
Endorsement deals?
Oh, LA. I mean, unless you're like Gretzky, probably not. But
so
New York City, Toronto, Yeah, I mean, Toronto, I'm not exaggerating when I say, I always break this headphone. Sorry. Well, I always say, like, as I said before, like, there are guys on the Leafs who have millions of dollars in endorsement deals who are third liners on good teams. Darcy Tucker was a third liner,
of money.
and he still makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just by virtue of having been Darcy Tucker of the Toronto Maple Leafs at fan conventions, at autograph sightings, at doing endorsement deals. And like, so there is a fuck ton of money to be made to be being a beloved player on the Toronto Maple Leafs. But there's also media constantly criticizing you and fans tweeting at you and all this other stuff. But I've never heard like, oh, Aaron Judge of the Yankees hates that media criticize him when he doesn't get a home run. Like, I've never heard that. You know what I mean?
This is fascinating. So, okay.
Yeah.
So we have no way of knowing this. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I was
you
going
know.
to say, I feel like,
But, like,
I can't speculate.
Again, this is player
But
by
it's
player.
the money difference.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
You're being too rational about this. You're like, it's got to come down to money. Yeah.
No, but like, let's say if you are like a Yankee, and you're like, it's baseball in New York, your endorsements have got to be literally obscene, just like upsetting amounts of money. Compared to you're the Leafs equivalent of that.
So you're Austin Matthews in the Leafs right now.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to see what the numbers are.
For sure, it's not as much as Aaron Judge makes in New York. I mean, we're talking about a massive difference in terms of market size, country size. 40 million versus 350 million. Like, there is no scenario where Austin Matthews would ever get Aaron Judge level money doing Toronto endorsements. Compared to the rest of the NHL, if he wanted to, and I'm not sure, he might already, Austin Matthews would make way more than any other player in the league in endorsements being in Toronto. Even more so than Connor McDavid, who's the better player but plays in Edmonton in a smaller market.
I think we need fans from other markets to write us.
No, I mean,
tell us if
fans can talk about how Connor McDavid rules Austin Matthews rules, but financially, there's no question.
An unreliable narrator moment where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm talking
Let's
to
just get some Maple Leafs on the podcast.
Can we afford them? Let's just get Aaron Judge.
Hi, Mitch. Yeah, let's just
cheaper.
like NBG.
I mean, we could get a fourth liner for
Or
sure.
like Juan Soto or something like that. Just bring him in.
Juan Soto, $750 million or whatever he signed for. I mean, if he demands money to come on a podcast, God damn it, Juan.
I mean, the hockey players will just crumble under the bright lights of this podcast.
Oh,
They will.
That's true.
They won't be able
I mean, the second we say anything negative about them, Mitch Marner, and Mitch Marner, again, we're not going to get too far into it, but Mitch Marner famously has a dad who was very overbearing. There was a documentary made about him as like the example of a negative hockey parent and like the guy who like reams his kid out after a bad game and stuff.
Fantastic.
So like he didn't grow up in a healthy environment, and maybe that has reverberated through life. But it's one of those things where, at the end of the day, to me, the biggest conversation, state taxes versus no state taxes, is big. But why hockey players seem uniquely predisposed to not wanting to play under the bright lights compared to athletes of softer sports, I'm doing air quotes for people who can't see me, who seem to relish playing under the bright lights. You know what I mean?
We need somebody. We need an
this
expert.
This needs investigative journalism.
Absolutely.
No, it needs sports psychologists.
This needs like a sociological something. Something.
I mean, to me, it's there's no answer. It's just it's an open-ended discussion. I don't think anyone has the definitive answer. I think it's a question of like.
I think there's an answer. I think we can find it.
We're gonna find it right now.
You guys go off and do your years-long study alongside the one about separating the twins.
We're gonna need some of that money from the nationalized billionaire, but we can get there.
All right. Well, enough of my soapbox on Mitch Marner, but it just drives me crazy that in a situation where the toughest athletes in a sport can't handle having to do a 5-minute media scrum after the games where people are like, "Why didn't you score?" or whatever.
We just lost Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I mean, we already did.
Deleting this episode right now.
Man.
Oh, he was a patron too. Fuck.
Tune in,
and he has so much money now.
Political
He's
stuff.
giving us $2 a month.
It's minimum 4. Thank you. Anyways, no. All right. Well, before we move on to our grand final, as I described the quiz, a quick message to you, the listener. First of all, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, would you be so kind as to use whatever podcast app you favor? Jump on, leave a review, leave us 5 stars. Talk about your thoughts on the Mitch Marner situation, whatever you want to talk about. And also, feel free to tell a friend. This podcast is worth listening to. Feel free to share our videos and clips on social media. That would be wonderful. And if you would be so inclined to support us and the broader Beaverton website monetarily, we do have a Patreon where you can sign up at patreon.com/the Beaverton. And for as little as $4 a month, you get extra extended episodes of this here podcast where we talk about stuff we don't cover in the regular episode. This week we dove deep into the Epstein scandal, so well worth checking out for that deranged 10 minutes alone, as well as many other wonderful stories. You also get exclusive articles, interactions with us, the editors, et cetera, and mostly you get to keep our wonderful publication going. And if you're a Patreon member listening to this, thank you so much for subscribing. You are the reason we get to keep doing this podcast. You're the reason we get to keep the website going. You are the wind beneath our wigs, and thank you so much, patrons. And now it's time for the approximately 10-minute long quiz.
It's the approximately 10-minute long quiz, brought to you by Time.
Every week I ask our panel to play the approximately 10-minute long quiz where I put their knowledge of some less widely reported news stories to the test. Panel, our first question. Toronto's massive new concert stadium, Rogers Stadium, has opened to not great reviews. Can you name one of the complaints that attendees have had about the stadium?
Oh, I had something for this. Now it's gone.
I'm going to say drinks and food weren't expensive enough.
Amazing. I can't follow that.
Fair enough. Name a single complaint you could have about any stadium experience, and I will give you a point.
Oh, I don't know what's happening to my brain right now.
Too crowded.
Down.
Too crowded.
Yes,
Let's do it.
Yeah, sure. That's a point.
Yeah.
Hard to get to.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's only 1 point per question, but yes,
Oh,
you
damn
already
it.
have gotten your point.
I like Claire's ambition.
All right, Claire gets the point.
Yes.
Nice
I
work,
will
Claire.
read. These are from one single article I read. Took 2 hours to leave. No transit, no parking, long lines for bathrooms, no hotels nearby, no signs on the road saying where the stadium is. 2-hour wait to refill water bottles. Water bottles cost $60 after they gave up on refilling the water bottles. The grandstands in one part of the arena were swaying. The name is too similar to the Rogers Center, so multiple people went to the downtown Rogers Center
Yeah, I confused
instead of the
it.
Rogers Stadium. I get that.
$60 for a water
Yes,
bottle?
I mean multiple, but yes, I think it was 2. Yes, so basically everything that could be bad is bad. Last night,
That's
Coldplay
next level.
is playing this week, and last night Chris Martin thanked concert goers for coming to, and I'm quoting here, a weird stadium in the middle of nowhere.
Where is it?
It's up in Downsview Park in North
Isn't
York.
that
It's brand new.
Isn't this a cell phone if you say that? Like you're playing a weird stadium in the middle of it. I feel like Chris Martin was talking to himself. Just that last part.
Yeah.
A weird stadium in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, they must have gotten paid.
Come get me.
Yeah, they must have gotten paid so much money to play this because the stadium is owned by, despite the name, the stadium is owned by Live Nation, who obviously
Right.
has deals and controls the music industry in a lot of ways. Now that people don't make money off CD sales and only make money by touring, but yeah, so they, I'm sure, put a little bit of pressure on Chris Martin and Coldplay to get them there. But good for Chris Martin for at least being slightly enough of a not company man to be like, well, this fucking sucks.
Every time I hear a story like this, I am reminded that I will never be rich because I don't have that. Like if I'm Coldplay, I was done in 2010. I'm like, you want me to play where? No, I don't think so.
I wrote yellow. Move on.
I have money. I'm good. I good on you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get how the intoxication of playing in front of 80,000 people would be huge, and you would want to chase that high.
You're playing for the love of the
sure.
game, for sure. Yeah.
Well, except they're very much not. They're paying for $150 plus
this is
that.
the thing. Like, anyway, good. You know what? I'm taking us off course.
No,
This is a 10-minute quiz.
Yeah.
Right,
Approximately.
10 minutes,
All right, next question. Claire gets a point on that one. What item has a medical clinic in Scotland had to beg patients to stop bringing in?
I'm going to say unsolicited dick pics.
Oh, nice.
You're in the right genital area.
Oh.
What? Really?
It's not pictures.
What?
I love confusing Nile with hints that make it more confusing for him.
I was going to say $60 water bottles, but now I want to know what the fuck.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Okay, go. What?
Urine samples. Sorry. Yeah, they're patients in an effort to save time, presumably, rather than go to the doctor and then be told, oh, we need a urine sample. These are mostly elderly people, of course. Be told you need a urine sample. Go, here's a cup. Go give us one. Blah, blah. They've just been like,
Here's a
I brought you a Ziploc bag of pish.
Ew.
Because that was the other thing is they're not bringing them in medical containers.
No, of course not.
They're bringing them in whatever they got around the house. Well, I mean, these are people who presumably are worried they have like a urinary tract infection or something like that.
But it got to the point where people had to stop telling them.
Oh yeah,
to stop.
like had to put out like multiple emails to their
There's a
patients.
story
and stuff.
behind this. Why?
I mean, someone must have been like, if you bring your own piss, you can get it. Yeah, I got my results
bro,
2 days
bro.
faster.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. Hey.
Yeah.
Little tip for you. Little tip.
Next level.
yeah,
Stool sample.
This is definitely.
So yes, so that is So just an old Scottish man turning up with a Ziploc bag of piss, and they were like, "Please don't do that anymore."
Well, at least it's only piss.
Yes.
You really want to save time.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
We're gonna keep it gross. What
You're welcome.
not scientifically named medical condition is causing people to set off TSA body scanners?
Why are you guys looking at me? You're both looking at me.
In fairness, I angled towards you because you're behind my laptop. I'm not just being like, Niall has to answer.
And I
If you have
answered
no idea,
first.
that's fine.
I can't respond under this much pressure.
Okay.
You're both looking at me.
I'm gonna say Bieber fever.
Oh.
I was going to say that.
I was
liar.
originally gonna say something like high iron, but I'm like, there's got to be a medical thing for that.
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, swamp crotch. I said not medically named or not scientifically named.
What?
Why? Why?
What? I didn't make the news. I didn't make the news up.
Okay.
I mean, I do.
Just to
but I
recap,
didn't.
what is happening?
So people who are, musty down there are sending off the body scanners because these body scanners respond.
Oh my God.
It's not about metal. They respond to anything that disrupts their signal, which would include moisture. And so, and here
Well,
I can.
that right there, that's when you know your line is too long for security. When people are coming in all like musty, you're like,
And it's not.
we need
That's
an
just
extra
one.
scanner.
So one person went through this, and then she was apparently. I'm not trying to put her on blast, but she apparently came to the airport wearing like bike shorts, and they really rode up and caused. Anyways, and then she went on Reddit, was like, "Is this happened to anyone else?" And like tons of people were like, "Absolutely." And I'll step in as a member of people who are a little more heavy set. It's a thing that if you have to like go through a layover and you come back through, if you've been on a plane for a while, that is. I mean, it's brutal.
I don't even think that's. I don't think that's large people. That's people.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm large, but like I find like if you're on a plane for a long time, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
No one's smelling great.
Yeah, no one is
No one's coming out fresh.
crotch is coming
No
out
one's coming out
unrotted if you're going through a plane. And so like if you have to go through security again, I would imagine it would be especially bad. So apparently the high rate of false alarms caused by moisture in the crotch was sufficiently high that like some countries like France have like stopped using these scanners, but the TSA continues to use them. So
gross.
if you're traveling to America, which
do you wanna
don't fucking do, anyways,
Want to take a quick second to take a shot of France there? Anybody? Just something about they're so
smell?
it writes itself.
You write the joke at home and mail it to us.
Let us know. We'll have a contest on Patreon.
Ooh, love that.
Next question. How the Calgary Stampede either just happened or still happening, I don't know. But it definitely took place.
happening.
And it's still happening. Great.
It goes all year.
Okay, cool. How many animals have died? Let's find out. Anyways, how did Mark Carney fail his first big appearance as PM at the Calgary Stampede?
I know this, so I'm gonna.
He misunderstood the term barebacking.
So in that context, he rode a bear?
I had a whole thing about him at a bathhouse. Let's just move on. This is a really
Because if you know the
unfortunate
Calgary
segment.
Stampede,
It's an unfortunate segment.
the sexual version of barebacking happens quite a lot at the Calgary
I
Stampede.
have no doubt.
Behind the stalls after a few Jaeger
We
shots.
all know what you do out there, you filthy animals.
Take off your cowboy hats. We know what your shame is. Anyways, Claire, give us the real answer.
He flipped a pancake real bad.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now?
No, it's a real
Oh,
big scandal.
no. Yeah,
You got to
and
flip a
Pierre
pancake.
flipped it perfectly, even though it was pre-made already.
Yeah. You got to flip it when it's still half wet. You
Yeah,
can't
he
do it
sucked
just
at it.
totally.
Danielle
Danielle Smith was flipping him around like a fucking pro.
Yeah, she made fun of him.
This is great. Could let them make pancakes then. Let's quit your fucking jobs and do something you're good at.
He's like, Carney, I think he's like, oh, that's true. I'm not very good at that. I'm better at Eggo waffles. And I'm like, you don't flip Eggo waffles.
I love it when wealthy people accidentally reveal, tell me you're rich without telling me you're rich.
yeah.
I'm better at waffles. Or that was my favorite Trump story about that woman. She couldn't afford an apple, so she went and put it back in the fridge.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, he was telling this story, one of these rambling stories about how bad grocery prices were, and he's like, this one woman, she was going to buy an apple, but she couldn't. I'm waving my hands. I'm really trying to sell it.
He's into it, yeah.
And then, so she had to put it back in the fridge, and I'm like, you've never been to a grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is astounding. That guy's in his 70s. He's never been to a grocery store.
Yep.
That's
I mean,
amazing to me.
yeah.
I get it. There are people
yeah.
like that, but for someone like me, that is astounding.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, for sure. But yes, no. So he couldn't flick that. He fucked up 2 pancakes. Polyev, of course, later on made a big joke about this because, as he said, Carney should be better because he's had so much experience flip-flopping in his dealings with Trump. Hardy har. Which I don't get me wrong. Take shots. You're the leader, you're the Conservative Party leader. You're not the leader of the opposition. It's your job to take shots at the PM. Fine. It would have hit a bit harder if multiple people hadn't reported that Polyev waited in his car until Carney left before entering the event because he didn't want to fucking talk to him. So it's like, you can't hide in your car from someone and then be like, he sucks at pancake flipping, guys. I'm pretty cool. I'm wearing a hat.
Well, I mean, it was a Calgary Stampede. Maybe he wasn't hiding in his car. Maybe there's some other stuff going on in there.
Ooh, barebacking.
Jesus.
Come on, Claire. It's right after Pride. Don't judge.
Polyev famously fucks. Anyways, last question. This one's complete the headline. I'm going to read a headline, missing some words, and you guys fill it in. Man unleashes blank on police during traffic stop.
Oh, I know this one.
Go.
Oh, I don't know this one. I'm just going to say the wrath of God.
Hey.
Whoa,
Very
wow.
Nice. Man unleashes the wrath of God.
cool.
In a way.
It was farts.
Nope.
It wasn't farts?
No.
There was a guy who got... Okay.
Oh, well, okay. Then I'll give you a point for if there's also a real news story.
There was actually a guy
who
he got charged.
This guy got charged too. I'm sure. You know what? That sounds like an American story. This is a European headline.
Okay.
This is classy.
I was going to say bees. That was going to be my first. What? Really?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Hell yes.
No jury in the
Release
world
the
would convict that guy. That guy's a superhero.
He unleashed a swarm of bees
I
on
love
police
him.
during traffic stop. He is a
love
beekeeper,
him.
obviously.
I
That is
love
fucking
this.
best. I'm a little upset because, now the bees died, but come on.
Oh, phenomenal.
A routine seatbelt stop turned into an insect ambush when a 70-year-old beekeeper in Cervera, Spain, probably not pronouncing that right, sicked his bees on 2 traffic officers. Police say they pulled over a van for erratic driving and noticed the man behind the wheel wasn't wearing a seatbelt. What they didn't expect was for the driver to respond, "I should have run you over," before walking to the back of his van and opening the door and sicking the bees on both cops.
I love
forcing them
this
to seek
man.
shelter
I need to
in a nearby
meet him.
restaurant.
4 more years. Let's elect this guy to something.
This feels like a thing that every beekeeper has fantasized about. And they're like, but he actually did it. He sicked bees on
That's
cops.
literally like a deleted scene from the Beekeeper movie with Jason Statham.
Was it because he was in his 70s? Maybe he's like, I'm 2 weeks away from retirement.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you're 2 weeks away from retirement?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
If you're retiring as a beekeeper, I guess you just got to get rid of bees and then you're retired.
Can we just listen to all if we have American listeners, and if you're trying to figure out ways to deal with ice, hey, I mean, how many apiaries, right? How many bees? Yeah, let's there's got to be a few of them kicking around. Just like football through.
Yeah, I mean, if they were killer bees, that'd be fun too.
Lure them Looney Tunes style under beehives, knock it down.
Yeah. Watch some Winnie the Pooh episodes to get an idea.
Oh, yeah.
Pretend the ice agents are Pooh Bear.
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
There's a wealth of
so many
words out there.
problems.
Guys,
everybody.
we've solved ice.
You guys aren't planning to go to the U.S. anytime soon, are you? Just
God,
No, not at all.
Just asking for no reason. Great. Well, at the end of the quiz, I can reveal that our winner, Clare Blackwood. Yay! Claire, would you like to tell the people what you got going on?
I would love to. I just have a Blue Sky account that you can follow me on, and I make jokes about my cat and politics. And it's Clare Blackwood on YouTube. Watch my videos because I'm monetized now.
Yeah, get Claire those
Sweet
$3
ones of
per view.
dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or thousands of views. I mean,
Let's take the W, everybody.
no, it's good.
Damn it.
It is good. Check out Claire's videos; they are very, very funny. Nile.
I have 2 podcasts. One is Comedians in Dungeons Getting Dragons, which is me playing Dungeons & Dragons with some hilarious comedians. It's a good time. And then Total Annihilation, which is my good news podcast, which I deliver genuine good news on in case you want to walk into a lake.
Well, now you got this beekeeper story.
Love this.
Thank you both for being here. Thank you to everyone for listening. My name is Luke Cornfield. Follow the Beaverton on all your social media, and that's basically how you can follow me. But yeah, thanks again for checking us out, and have a wonderful week. Talk to you next time.
The Beaverton Weekly Report is produced by Andrew Rivalme in partnership with the From Superheroes Network. Visit FromSuperheroes.com to hear more great podcasts like this.